Welcome to the Millionaire Mindcast, where we broadcast weekly interviews with millionaire minds from across the globe to empower you on your journey of unlocking a rich and fulfilling life. It's time to unleash your millionaire within. Now, here's your host, Matty A.
What's going on, Millionaire Mindcast fam? Welcome into another Millionaire Monday. Today, I am bringing to you a treat. This is an interview with my brother, a great friend, a coaching client, an all-around badass human being, Mr. Templeton Walker. It's a fire episode, and I'm saying that, one, because he brings the fire, and two, we talk about fire. Financial independence and retiring early, and how Templeton has leveraged real estate and wealth building to go out and do that for himself and his family. This is one guy, not only is he a world-class real estate investor, and you're going to learn a lot from him in that perspective today, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, if you want to build wealth, you need to understand real estate. If you want to build wealth, you need to understand stocks. If you want to build wealth, you need to understand business, the three most prominent wealth-building vehicles and proven wealth-building vehicles on the planet. And if you are an entrepreneur who happens to be in real estate, you're tackling two of those together, right? And even if you're not, we cover a lot of things today on business, on financial freedom, and also on personal life, living like a millionaire as a husband, as a father, as a community member and leader for other employees and people in your network. And Templeton is one of these individuals where he's extremely funny and he's extremely charismatic, so you're going to get some laughs in today's episode, but he is also a straight killer. He's an assassin, and you're going to get to pick up on some of the tools and the tips and the strategies and the ways that he approaches life and business to maybe pick and pull one or two things from his journey and his story that really resonate and apply with you. I know I did. It was a really fun episode to record. So we're going to go ahead and dig into today's episode. But if you're new to the podcast and you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Know that all podcast episodes are also recorded via video. So if you want to see my face for radio, or really today I'll just say Templeton's face for radio, head over to Millionaire Mindcast on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, say what up, drop me a comment below. Or if you're new to the show and you haven't texted me yet, text me at 844-447-1555. No, seriously, right now, take that number down and just text me and say what up. One of the at least my favorite things about this podcast is getting to actually connect with you guys, right? Like me talking into a camera right now, into a mic right now, I'm not getting any feedback. I'm not getting any connection. I'm not feeling any impact or learning or growing myself. Ultimately, I do that when I get to talk and hang out with you guys. So this is one way that I get to engage and interact with all of the listeners of the show from all around the world, which is so amazing and so fun. So text me at 844-447-1555. For more tools, resources, and downloads, head over to millionairemindcast.com. With that being said, let's continue on with your March to $1 million and beyond right after this quick message. Oh, baby, you guys are in for a treat today. I get to welcome in my brother. This is how he's scheduled on the podcast booking system, was T-Nasty. So you guys are going to get a taste of one of my brothers from another mother, Mr. Templeton Walker. What's good, dude?
What's up, brother? Thank you so much for having me. I'm used to seeing your beautiful face on our coaching calls, but to be on the podcast is an honor, and I appreciate the opportunity.
So many of you, obviously, before you are hearing us speak right now, have heard Temp's bio and his resume. The dude is an absolute killer in the real estate space. And I know we're going to talk a lot about that platform, being that people are here to learn about wealth building and passive income and financial freedom and this lifestyle. And one of the things that I love about you, Temp, is just your transparency. Your desire to help people and add value, but you're also an action taker. And I always believe life rewards people who play full out, but also move really, really quickly and find a way to, root themselves in being present as well. And I know that's something you and I talk a lot about, both of us struggling with, and also making an intention. And we're going to share a little bit about what your life and business looks like today. But where did Where did all of this start? I want people to understand where it all began for you.
So I'm from a tiny town. I'm from the Grand Canyon National Park. So that was just a really unique and cool place to grow up. And I think that helped cultivate who I am today as like a kind of small town boy, like sweet, caring guy, but also highly competitive and ambitious because, you know, there wasn't a lot of opportunity up there and sports was huge, right? Like me and you talk about athletics all the time. We both played in college basketball and, you know, so I kind of developed this like great work ethic, kind of like this, like, you're not going to outwork me kind of guy. Had a son at 18, gave up my basketball scholarship, was like kind of trying to figure out my life from about 18 to 25, where I was this guy with a ton of potential and I was, you know, kind-hearted and ambitious, but like I was a big thinker and not much of a doer. Age 25 rolls around. I'd had 34 different jobs at this point.
34.
34 jobs, bro.
And I know you very, very well. You have this playful, fun, you like to, you know, and you've channeled this in a lot of the right areas. How much of, let me say this in like the nice way, right? But like, how much were you fucking off between like 18 to 25?
Like 95% was like, so I wasn't with my son's mom, so I would only have him like every other weekend or sometimes every other week. So I definitely was living this single young 20-something life when I didn't have him, right? Because he was over at his mom's, he was situated. So when I had my free time, I was a mess. You know, I was just a party animal. Like I was just I was wild. I was really wild. So, however, I think energy is one of the best things that you can control and navigate in this life. And I had that, right? Like I've always kind of been that center of attention, ham. Like I love to have the spotlight on me. So I just had to figure out how to take that same energy and that contagious vibe that I had and pivot it from being the hardest partier and turn it into being like potentially the best leader or the best friend or the best mentor. But I just really wasn't disciplined or mature enough at that time to navigate my life in that direction. So super wild. And then I really had to kind of at 25 have like a come to Jesus talk where I looked in the mirror and I'm like, dude, are you going to be the guy that just is always going to have a ton of potential and never does shit? Or are you going to like step into your greatness and your potential and become something? So I was multi-level marketing. I was selling this pill. Whatever, you know.
I don't even want to ask what kind of pill you were selling, bro.
It was actually kind of a cool pill, but don't worry about it. I call my aunt, who's a successful realtor, my aunt Cindy in Prescott, shouts out to her. And I'm like, Aunt Cindy, I got this pill. You need to buy it. And she's like, Temp, what is wrong with you? She's like, I'm paying for real estate school. Pay me back on your first deal. I'm like, but you're going to buy the pill, right? And she's like, I'll buy the pill. I was like, because I needed $200. So I sell the pill. I go to real estate school. And I finally was just like, the schooling was difficult for me. But fast forward in my first 2-3 months, man, I did like 4 deals. And I think I made like 17 grand in like my second or third month. And I was like, I mean, there were some years I didn't make 17 grand. I was like, what is this? Like, I am going to chase after this. So I just was, and this is what I teach my real estate agents now that I coach and that work for me personally, is I'm a realtor. I'm excited about it and I want to help you. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be the very best agent. What you need to do is make sure every person knows you and never act, you know, always just say, hey, that's a great question. I don't know the answer. Let me find out for you. Say yes, put yourself in situations to go serve people and don't lie to them. Don't underserve them. Do your very best. And if you don't know the answer, say, hey, I don't know the answer. That's a great question. Let me find out for you. And you're going to learn. But every person needs to know that you're a realtor or an investor or whatever you are, whatever you could plug in, whatever you are into that, the same word as realtor there. I'm a financial banker. I'm a podcaster. I'm a YouTube, whatever it is. I'm excited about it and I want to help you. I took that energy and I just went full speed, dude. And within the first year, I was rookie of the year. I was top salesperson of the year at a small brokerage. And I was like doing pretty well. I was like, oh my God, like this is working. but I was like a big fish in a small pond. I think that first year I sold $5 or $6 million worth of real estate, which is respectable. But I didn't realize there was people out there selling $5-6 million a month. And I was like, oh, I thought I was like so cool. I was like, I need to go get into a bigger pond. I need to go surround myself with bigger thinkers. Like if everyone keeps treating me like the man because I'm selling $5 million, I'm always going to be the man just doing that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I needed to get into bigger circles. So started Templeton Group in year 2. That grew. And then I started realizing I was finding deals for investors. And I was making like a small bird dog fee, and they were going to making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 per deal. And I was making maybe $1,500, $2,500. And I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I can do the other side. So T Group really started to, I leveraged that out and started to let that run through Shauna and through strategic leverage. And I've been an investor for about 3 years now. And that has been where my wealth creation, my portfolio, my financial independence, and really my passion has really flourished as an investor. So that's kind of the 6-year window of like small town kid, messing up for 5-6 years, not really being my best self, 25, 26, finding that, and then taking a lot of action and becoming more disciplined and more mature and more refined every day and every year. And now here I am at 32, and I'm in a pretty good spot.
I would say so. And a lot of people come to you and look to you for advice and admire what kind of dad you are and what kind of husband you are and your priorities with your health and having fun and this whole balance. Was that by design? Did it just kind of happen along the way? Did it get optimized, tweaked, kind of evolve based on the failures and the experiences you were having, or was that from day one? Like you had this vision of what you wanted life to look like for yourself?
Well, I had a great example of what a dad was. My dad, who now works for me, was the best. My mom was the best. So I had a great example, but I don't think I started with that end goal of like, because my whole goal now above money or anything is being the very best dad, husband, friend. Like that's more important to me than dollars at this point. But sad to say that wasn't my goal in the beginning. My goal in the beginning was to make as much money I could possibly make. Yep. And to never feel broke or financially strapped again, because I came from pretty much nothing. And I didn't want to feel that anymore. I didn't want to feel, dude, I remember times being like down to like $7 and being like, all right, I can eat 2 hot and spices and, like get through the day. Like I was really down to nothing. So now my drive was just like, I don't ever want to feel that again. And then you start to realize once you have some money and you have to go through this cycle, like I bought a Mercedes and a BMW on the same day once. I went through this cycle of like, oh, I need to have things. And then you realize money and things don't necessarily make you happy. It's the relationships and the moments that you have. So I quickly learned within about a 10-month cycle, I was like, oh, I want to sell all that. Like I want less. And what I want more of is time with my family, time with my wife, time with my kids, because I can't get that back. So to answer your question, was I built that way? No, I had to find it through my own journey. And I also sought it out through coaching relationships like with you. I feel like half the time we don't even talk about real estate. We talk about like mindset and who we want to be as men and the way we want to lead our families and the way we want our legacy to be left in this world. I would say 80% of our calls are more on that than like strategic real estate stuff, yep. Which we both know well. And you've obviously helped me in those areas, but I had to seek out becoming this person, because when you make a lot of money, or if you're on this stage where a lot of people, at least here locally, know me as Templeton, this successful realtor investor, you can start to get a big head. You can start to feel yourself. And it's like, dude, none of that matters. What really matters is the way your children feel about you, the way your spouse feels about you, and the way your friends and your inner circle feel about you. That's all I really focus on now. And the money is just a byproduct of operating that the right way.
Absolutely. And dude, and for those that aren't following my man Temp, you got to follow him, one, because he's hilarious. He puts out all kinds of cool videos, but he's just adding a lot of great value all the time. And he walks his talk. And those are the people that I love to follow. It was funny. I was on a podcast the other day and he was like, who do you love to follow? and what is a big name you love to follow? And the only person, there was a few people in there, but there's really only a few people that I like to follow, like Jesse Itzler, people that I 100% resonate with from the perspective of, yes, they're killers in business and they're constantly pushing and challenging themselves in that vertical. But then I love following the people that I know are congruent with my core values, like being a good husband or a good wife, or being a great father or mother, being a great leader in their community or in their business, that they're fun, they have life outside of business. And you were one of those people that popped into my head. I was like, oh, I got to tell my boy.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
But it was, so I know there's, a lot of lessons that have come out of your journey, and with you kind of living intentionally, you've been able to unlock things that a lot of people desire in life. You've also experienced the other end of the spectrum where you've earned a lot of money, but it didn't fulfill you. You were living irresponsibly. What was, looking back, one of the worst financial decisions you ever made that you would share with other people to ensure they don't go down that same path?
Man, I would say I've made plenty.
He's like, damn, how much time you got?
I would say not investing in myself sooner. I was so tight with my wallet when it came to coaching and self-development. Granted, I was an avid reader and I would buy a $15 Audible book, but when it came to spending a few $1,000s on self-development in coaching or masterminding or mentoring, I would never do it. I'd be like, nah, I know, I read the book, so like I know what that is. And until you apply yourself and start writing the check and like getting the accountability, I wish so badly I would have done that sooner, because I do believe I would have like taken my learning curve so much quicker. So that's not necessarily a financial decision that I made. It's more of a financial decision I didn't make.
Yeah.
That really affected me. I am very good at buying houses, and I only buy amazing deals, or I at least try to. I am the worst vehicle buyer that you've ever met. Like, I mean, I gotta be $100,000 the wrong direction on cars. Like,
But is it a feeling? Is it an experience for you? Is it ego? Like, what? Why do you buy the cars?
Yeah, I think it's all those things. And granted, I've really been able to understand what my ego is and where it is and why I have it. And the ego is kind of a beautiful thing that you can let off the leash and let it go chase, and it helps you be ambitious and kill some things. But you got to understand that, like, you got to bring the ego back and go, man, great job, ego. You helped me, but like now it's time for you to step aside, because this isn't for you. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to get too woo-woo on people, but if you can really identify and isolate when you're acting in ego and when you're not, that's a powerful thing. So when I bought my dream car, I had a paid off Sonata and I had a Toyota Tundra that was a really nice truck too. And I go and trade them in for, my wife got a Mercedes and I got a BMW 750 Li. That was my dream car always. And I had never had enough money to do it until that day. And man, I felt so good for about 2 weeks. And then I realized quickly, I'm impressing people at red lights that are never going to know me, that, yeah, my ass can be heated and cooled and I can drive a little faster, but like all this is doing, and I'm super passionate about financial independence. All this is doing is just extending my financial independence number like astronomically, right? Because that thing had like $1,000 payment and insurance was probably way more than a Sonata. And you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't know why I did that. I think I was also young and I was like coming up in the game, and I felt like that helped validate my my place in this market, or my place as a realtor. Like, yeah, of course I drive a big, beautiful car because I'm successful. And then you start to, as you dive into your soul and like who you are, you start to realize that none of that really fucking matters at all. And if having that vehicle brings you joy and it's congruent with your highest and best needs, amazing, you should have it. But if it's not, and you're starting to have things because the way you believe you'll be perceived by other people, that's where it starts to become a problem. So, and I definitely think I was in that boat. I felt like it validated my success.
When did you have kind of this like awakening and falling in alignment of who Temp is and what you really stand for, and not caring what other people think or feel, or just kind of coming into this confidence in the sense of, because you've always been this confident guy, right?
Yeah.
When did you get to the place where you were kind of like, fuck it, I don't really care what other people think, or I now know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm doing it for the right reasons?
I think it was probably 2 years ago. And you're right. I've always been confident. You know, I was from a small town and I was kind of like the guy. I got to be like the main athlete. And I was fortunate to, girls have always liked me all right. You know, like I've always been a confident guy, ultra confident, to be honest. But as you start to really look within yourself, you can identify that some of that is ego driven and false. And 2 years ago, I think the breaking point was, man, I was making so much money and I wasn't keeping any of it. I had this big ass team that had a ton of expense, and I'd make, you know, 50, 60 grand in a month, and 45 of it was going out. So I'm like, well, dude, a regular realtor or investor could just go do 1 or 2 deals and they would make the same amount of money as me. So what I learned is, like, all these team leaders and all these big real estate guys that are on stage, if they don't have other verticals or other streams of income, they're not fucking making that much money. They're not, you know. And I was up there. I was living that. And that imposter syndrome, if you're a good human being, there is no worse feeling on your heart than feeling like you're an imposter, feeling like you're not living your truth or lying. So I was just fed up with, like, making all this money and not keeping it. So that's kind of where me and you started to develop our relationship. And we just talked about identifying efficiencies in my business, where it was like 70% of my expenses were coming from my real estate team that was giving me maybe 10% of my income.
Yep.
It was like, and it was taking probably 70% of my time to create 10. So what if we pivot my attention and energy? And we both know when I am on task, there's no one that can out earn me. Like, I am
dangerous.
I'm dangerous. You call me that. Like, I'm dangerous when I am focused on something directly. So I think I just finally had to get fed up with, like, looking successful or looking rich and, like, not actually being it. Like, you know, if the money didn't come the next month, I would have been in trouble.
Yep. Right. So you've obviously always come off as this super confident guy.
Because I'm so sexy.
What insecurities do you have that people may or may not know about you? And how do you
My hairline.
The hairline?
I mean, I rock a hat almost every damn day now. I think I'm going to fly to Turkey and get some of those damn plugs or something.
Dude, I got to wait. Hold on. Before this is going to be a side note, and people are going to look this up on Instagram. I'll have to get the page, but a guy that I work out in the gym with, his hair's fading, and his sister's like multi 7-figure makeup artist and like beauty company in LA, in Hollywood. Yeah. And a lot of celebrities now are shaving the bowl, like, in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? They still have some stuff left on the sides, but they got the bowl on top, and they are shaving it. It's like going in for a regular haircut, and they put on like a wig on you, and they style it, and they glue it down, and like you're good to go for at least 2 weeks. So I was like, I just had this vision of my man T Nasty with the bowl cut.
Enough to go do all that. Like, I'm wifed up. Like, I got a bad one on the team already. I got kids. And my plan is to get in. They're going to just be like, dang, look at his arms and his abs. I don't even know what his head looks like. That's my plan. So, no, I don't fucking care enough. Take it home soon and just let it rock. But to seriously answer your question, what insecurities? I would say just, you know, to make sure I'm congruent in my beliefs, and that I have been on many stages, and I've been fortunate to have like this place of influence at whatever degree.
Yeah.
And when you're giving someone advice and saying, man, wake up early and do a miracle morning and do all this, but like you're not doing it, that's like the worst feeling in the world, you know? Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not perfect. I'm human. I'm not on point every day. So what I've learned to do is, when I am speaking, I say, hey, this is what I try to do. This is what I aspire to do. And man, I hit it probably 8 to 9 times out of 10, but I'm not perfect. I'm not a fucking robot. Right. So, I think my insecurities lie when I'm trying to present myself as something I'm not. And honestly, I've gotten super good at just not doing that. Like, just telling people the truth, like, oh no, I'm not that, or I didn't sell that much. I don't know why that magazine said that about me. Like, I actually sold like 15 million less than that, you know?
Yep. That's one of the reasons why I love you too. And I think why so many people are attracted to you and your brand and who you are and what you stand for is that transparency piece. And I've said this before on other podcasts and with other guests as well, is I personally believe the people who are going to have the greatest impact in the long run are going to be the people who were transparent, who were authentic, who did share that, hey, you aren't a robot. You try to do these things and yet you don't hit them all the time. And that makes you relatable. It humanizes you. And those are the people that I know, real people, and the people you want to connect with and impact relate to that, right? Versus the people who may be out of alignment with those, values or those things or whatever it may be, are probably not the people that you want to be aligned or associated with. But when you're not telling that truth, that's ultimately when I have found, and we've talked about this, it pulls you out of your greatest power as a human being. There's this friction, there's this rub of knowing that you're not being truthful, and yet you're saying one thing and you're doing another thing, and then you start feeling shame and guilt and anger and frustration, and that spills over into other areas of life, and it's just this weird domino effect. But when you're in congruency, you're dangerous.
Oh, you're
right?
Powerful.
Truth
vibrates at a different level, and people can receive it and feel it. And bullshit vibrates at a certain level. Like, you can tell when someone's bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, so true.
You can also tell when someone's like, damn, like, I'm just attracted to that person.
I want to be around them.
Yeah, like, and I always tell people, like, when you walk in a room, you can control your attitude, your energy, and your effort. Like, those are three things that I'm going to show up in a big way. Like, there's people smarter than me. There's people better looking than me. There's people that, have X, Y, and Z better than me. But I can control my attitude, my energy, and my effort. And I think when you're operating in truth, it's just so much easier to control those, because when you're being anything other than yourself, that takes effort. Because to be yourself takes no effort. Just be you. Mm-hmm. So if I'm being anything other than myself, that takes effort, which obviously requires energy, and energy depletes. So if I'm being fake or incongruent in any way, eventually I'm going to have to take that mask off and reveal myself. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting to be anything other than your truth. So when I can control my energy, my attitude, and my effort, if I'm showing up in my truth, it's free flowing. It's endless. Yeah. But when I'm trying to pretend to be something, that's going to run out of energy, because it's fucking exhausting to not be yourself. So I've gotten very clear that I'm not going to be something I'm not.
What do you want to be?
I want to be inordinately, I don't know that that's a word, inordinate.
I was like, damn, that's a big word.
I want to spend, here's a better way to use the word, and this will be I want to spend an inordinate amount of time with my wife, my kids, and the people that matter to me most. And within that, I would like to lead them in a way where they understand that, I guess, dude, I know you've done some plant medicine, some different stuff. Like, everything starts in love and ends in love. So if I am operating in that way and checking my ego at the door and just loving the people that are most important to me and allowing them to love me back, that's how I want to show up. And within that, I want to be ambitious, and I want to be a great provider, and I want to be strong and sturdy for my family. But at the end of the day, if my kids grow up and go, man, my dad loved me more than any dad that I ever freaking knew, I'm good. If my wife at the end, she goes, there was no husband that loved a woman the way he loved me, then I'm good. If our friendship was, man, that guy loved me and I knew he loved me and I loved him back, like, I get chills thinking about it, then I'm good. There's nothing else that matters if you just get down to, man, I loved him and he loved me. And I know he loved me in such a way, like, it was the greatest love I ever felt, in a friendship, in a business relationship, in a marriage, in fatherhood. If I can leave people saying that, that's what matters.
How are you doing that? Because I know it's one thing to say that, right? You really strip all of us down. At the end of the day, every decision we make, action we take or don't take is often based on, will this bring us happiness? Will this give us love? So how do you show up as that on a daily basis with your kids, with your wife, with your friends, in your business? What does that look like for you?
I think it's just getting clear on understanding that all of this is just so silly. Like, it's all so silly. So, like, one of my agents on my team right now is a little girl. She's 2 years old and has cancer.
Oof.
That, you take something like that and it will shock you. It will just put you into this place of like, oh my God, like, think about Kobe Bryant, like, who is my all-time favorite player. I'm a huge Lakers fan since I was a baby. Like, this is death is arbitrary and it can take anyone at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are living in any way that is not intentional and present today, you're kind of missing the point. Like, if you're just checking off days, like, you're just getting through them, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So I think I just get centered in those type of thoughts, and I'm like, I know Gary Vee does this. I kind of get weird and I'll think about like something bad happening and being like, oh, if that happened, my life would really be hurting right now. And this deal just fell apart and I didn't make 20 grand. Oh, well, I'm going home to my kids and they're healthy and I'm going to wrestle them on the trampoline and I'm going to get to smack cheeks tonight and life's going to be good. Sorry, I don't know if I can say smack cheeks on that.
Bro, there's nothing off limits here.
Okay.
That's the beauty of the Millionaire Mindcast. We bring all the glory.
Definitely the first time anyone said smack cheeks on
that is the first.
But but like, life could be really, really hard. So when you have these small, I'm faithful, like, in the Lord, and I believe God shows up in the smallest, simplest stuff. And when you can start to appreciate that stuff, he starts to show himself more and be like, damn, like, this coffee's money, like, this day is beautiful. My kids are healthy and running, and little Temp's mullets blowing in the wind, playing soccer out front. Like, life is good.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Trust me, I was not this intentional and connected. This has taken a lot of work, but I feel more clear than I've ever felt.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. It was actually Rob Dial on a previous podcast. And if you haven't checked out Rob Dial's episode, I would give that a listen. But we started talking about the difference between personal development and spiritual development, and those two kind of overlapping and compounding together. And that's kind of what I see based on both of you, being that, you know a lot of my story, and obviously, I know a lot of yours. There's like this personal development in the sense of, I want to get better for business reasons a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And then I find that parlays into, okay, I need to get better as a human being, because that's also going to serve me in my personal life, which is going to serve me in my business. But then you get to this level where it's like, what does this spiritual development component of my life look like? Thinking that there's so much more outside of business and achievement and accomplishment. There's so much more in what other people see or feel or perceive from me. But what do I feel about myself, and how do I do the work internally on myself, on my mind, my body, my spirit, and how does that show up in my life at a much higher level? And I think there's just levels to that. I'm interested and excited to see what that looks like for me, for you, for everybody that's listening to this show moving forward, right?
Let me ask you this, and I know you and I have both struggled with this.
Yeah.
I know for me, sometimes when I'm feeling like my best spiritual self,
yep,
I feel like my worst business self. And sometimes when I'm all in on business and like money and like chasing that, I feel like I'm so detached from my spiritual self. So, how the hell do we, and I'm not sure I have this answer. I think I'm finding a good balance, but like, how do you stay your best spiritual self and your best business person self? That's what, that's why you coach me, because I'm like, I don't know exactly.
Yeah. And I think it's an evolution. And I would always say, like, the balance of that is different for everybody. You and I have talked about this, like, my definition of balance, and ours is very similar, just because we align so much on what I'm going to say is my answer to this, which is core values. So when you're going all in on something, or you're pushing, or you're in a particular season, whether that's, hey, like, the kids need a lot of you right now. So maybe you're going to rework your business life and schedule to look a little bit differently because that's the season that you're in, or something going on in your relationship, or, hey, I got a lot of stuff on my plate business wise, and I'm trying to break through to this next, level or beyond this next milestone. I got to really push hard on this, and I got to sacrifice a few things over here, right? Like that will ebb and flow in life, in my opinion. But what I always find is the root of me staying in counterbalance between those seasons is always going back to, am I in alignment with my core values?
Yeah.
Based on the fact that we've put in the work. And if you haven't done this, I recommend putting in the work of like, what do you stand for? What are your core values? What will you not tolerate in your life? What will you tolerate? What do you want to shout from the rooftops? What will you, are repulsed by or push away or whatever it may be, right? And so for me, it's always my core values, which is still kind of a work in progress, but mine always comes back to these. I have them in front of me at all times: growth, respect, integrity, gratitude, attitude, accountability, appreciation, leadership, persistence, love, and adventure. If I'm doing a lot of those things or all of those things, I'm, again, weaponized. I'm dangerous. I'm feeling like I'm, navigating in alignment with who I am and what I stand for and my purpose. And when I'm out of alignment with those things, I always know that I have a North Star to kind of fall back on. And so I think that's something that most people, they get pulled in one direction or the other, and they forget what's the North Star.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to play both sides of the fence if you're not clear on those core values.
Because let's be honest, like at the end of the day, especially for entrepreneurs, especially for people who are money motivated, and let's not lie, both you and I are money motivated, but we've just gotten good at knowing the dark side of that and building in the balance. But life for hard charging entrepreneurs is you're going to have hooks in you all the time and new hooks coming in to play every single day. So it's how do you get very good at assessing and analyzing and staying congruent with who you are, what you stand for, and ultimately the end goal that you're moving towards. And you and I talked about this a lot, is we want to get to the end of the road. Like what you said, if your kids and your wife and your friends just say, man, that dude loved the hell out of me, and yeah, he achieved some great shit and he made, a big difference in real estate communities and this and that. But at the end of the day, like if you said those boxes were checked, that's a win for you. Same thing for me is I want to look back on my ride and say, damn, that was a hell of a ride. And I stayed aligned with who I was. I loved the people around me unconditionally. And I played full out to show people, at least in my own example, what life can look like if you follow and pursue that for yourself. And that's one of the things why I love you so much, is because you're constantly challenging and looking to level up. And we've talked about this, and I think this is a great topic for a lot of people, because I hear this is like, hey, life is good. Like, should I be pushing for more? Should I just stay, steady and slow and keep rocking? Or should I always feel like I need to level up and break through a new ceiling and chase something bigger? And the highs and the lows of that, we've talked about this. Both you and I have had really high highs. We've had really low lows. How do you manage when life is good? Do you disrupt it and push for more? Like, what does that look like for you?
So for me, and because you've helped coach me through and talk me through a lot of these things, is sometimes you get in these seasons of life where everything is perfect. And I'm the guy who can't just stay in that moment. And then I go mess it all up. I go chase something bigger. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I just stay? Like, why can't I stay in this sweet spot? So I've learned that less can be more. And that can mean a lot of different things. Less people, less money, less processes can be more if they're efficient and if they're optimized, and relationships. So I don't know, man. I think I'm getting much better at finding that flow state in my life where I'm like, man, this is a good spot and it's headed in the right direction. I think the struggle that you and I have is we're massively impatient, and I think I'm supposed to solve my financial life within the next 90 days. It's like, bro, because we have the ability to go earn such income quickly, and we've done it and we feel like we can go do that and duplicate it. I'm like, oh, I want to pay off my house. What if I had 2 big months? I could do it. right? Well, then I get obsessed about that, and my kids are like, "Where's dad?" And I'm like, "I'm paying off the house," and it's like, "Whoa, chill, bro." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why do I need to have the house paid off in 2 months? Like, what if it took me 2 years? Is that still a beautiful goal and like a really great timeline? Yes. So I think for me is just kind of staying centered. And what's nice, and I love that you brought up the core values, because if you're tied to those, it's so much harder to drift off. And when you do drift, it's easier to identify like, oh, I'm out of line. But if you
back home,
have something written and that's that you're anchoring to, it's hard to know if you're offline because you don't know what the value is that you're trying to tie to. So that's how people turn into these freaking maniacs, and they have no idea because they're not tethered to something greater than whatever that ambition was.
Yeah. The last thing you want to do too is just, get there, be unfulfilled, and then look at the carnage behind you and go, oh my gosh, I wish I could change that. I wish I could go back and have the years of 1 through 10 with Lil Temp. I wish I could, right? I wish Denise and I weren't feeling estranged right now. And
that's my greatest fear.
Yep.
That's my greatest fear, is to look back and go, fuck, I did it wrong, or I didn't serve them, or I didn't. And I'm not willing to play that. And especially time is not a renewable resource. Money is. So when you start to break it down like that, what's more valuable? And it's my time at this point.
Yeah. One of my early mentors said, getting rich and becoming wealthy is living like you're broke for a really long time. And I know that you've been really intentional with, you're great at making money. You've experienced the side of saying, hey, I blew it, I was irresponsible with it. You've also been on the other spectrum where you're responsible with it, you're strategic with it, you're leveraging it to unlock more freedom, more wealth, more lifestyle. But a lot of people talk about how crippling money stress can be. And you and I have both been there. We both talked about it. How have you been able to manage the money stresses along the way to unlocking the freedoms and the luxuries that so many people look up to you and want to create in their own life?
Great question. So like tonight I'm doing a Discovering F.I.R.E with Templeton event, and it was like a Facebook post and like 150 people registered, and we'll see. I think it's going to be
awesome.
Crazy. But when you talk to people about discovering F.I.R.E, or F.I.R.E, stands for financial independence, and it's going to take money to do that. And there's a few different levers you can pull. You can make more of it. You can have less expenses, so you could use less of it. Invested. I think one thing I've done well with money is I've never been ultra tied to, I do think about it a lot, and I'm trying not to anymore, and I'm trying to take that stress out of my life. But I've lost big checks before, and I think I'm less affected than normal people, where I'm like, well, that sucked, but I can go do it again. Like I don't cry over spilled milk. I'm like, well, fuck it. Like I got to keep moving forward. Like that's one thing I do well, is just take action. So I think when you realize money is renewable, so you can, if you, God, there's a great analogy where this guy is talking about, God, I'm going to botch this, but it's really good. So let me try. He's in the ocean. He gets sucked under a wave, and God, I'm going to ruin this. But essentially, this is what the point of this story is. If making money is as second nature to you as breathing, you're not worried about your next breath. You just know you're going to get it, right? So if I know how to go make money, then why am I'm not going to sit here and dwell and be like, am I going to get a breath in a few minutes? I mean, this is what people are doing with their money. Am I going to be able to breathe in 10 minutes? I just don't know if I'm going to be able to breathe. Like, is air going to be here? Like, I don't know. Is someone going to suffocate me? And it's like, that's what we think. That's how we essentially think about money. Like, is it going to be here next month? Is it going to be here in 2 months? Like, man, I really need a deal. If you just exchange that for like breathing, and like there's certain people, you become masterful at your craft. I'm masterful at making money. Like I know how to go real estate, invest, and make money. It's like breathing at this point. So am I going to stress about the breaths that I'm going to take in 2 months? No, they're going to happen or they're not. And the money's going to happen or it's not. But I have faith that I am capable and I am skilled enough that it's going to come to me. You know what I mean? So as I start to think about money, I've lost a lot of that stress because I've put in the work to become masterful at making it. So I think that's something, angst and fear come from lack of preparation or lack of experience. So whenever I used to have to take a test and I didn't study, well, that test caused me a lot of anxiety. Or when I had to take a test and I was prepared for it, I knew I was going to rock it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what a lot of people do is they they're not preparing themselves for the tests that we're going to have to take financially. And if you just put in a little bit of work and become thoughtful about, man, what if I ran a little simple budget? What if I worked a side job and, I made an extra $800 a month and I applied it to these debts, and you watch some YouTube videos on how to simply pay down debt through a debt snowball or whatever that looks like. And you just took an elementary approach. You're not going to have as much anxiety around money anymore. Where people have anxiety is they bury their head in the sand and go, I don't know how to fix this. So it's like, educate yourself, because now you're prepared. So that's going to take away a lot of the anxiety and fear, and then take action to fix whatever obstacles you're up against. And then money becomes quite enjoyable.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about leveraging the money to live the lifestyle and have it be enjoyable. As we wrap it up, you're doing your FIRE meetup, which I love that. Super awesome. And I know you're going to blow that up in Phoenix. Or you're not in Phoenix. Where are you at?
I'm in Phoenix. It's Chandler. I'm in a suburb.
Yeah, you're in Chandler.
You wouldn't know when you left one to the other. It's like metro.
For people that, are, because we haven't even talked about real estate.
I know, me and you could just
I know, we could wrap on.
People are going to be like, worst guest ever. We talked about love. What the fuck?
This is life, though. You know what I mean? And I think at the end of the day, someone can Google how to wholesale and flip houses. I got a 6-figure flipper course. You teach people how to wholesale and invest in real estate all the time. But at the end of the day, if you were to give some advice to an early stage investor that has some cash laying around, or maybe doesn't have some cash laying around, and they're looking to get started in the vertical of real estate that you do, what do you tell them to do?
Okay, every deal needs the deal, and it needs money. In the beginning, I had no money, so I got really good at finding the deal. You don't need to figure out the rest. Go figure out how to find the deal. Go to a big wholesaler in your town and say, hey, I have a deal. Will you help me move it on and teach me along the way? Give up half of the deal on your first 5. You're going to learn so much. Go find the very best people and get in their world and bring value to them. Don't hit up someone like me or like Maddie and say, hey, man, can I take you to coffee? Like, no, we don't have time. And 2, we don't have time. So that's never going to happen. But if you call me and go, hey, I have 123 Main Street under contract, or I have a seller appointment tomorrow. It looks like it's worth $250, and verbally the seller told me they'll take $150. Guess what? I'm going to respond to your DM, and I'm going to go on that seller appointment with you, and we're going to go make some money together. So bring value to players that are doing it, and inject yourself into their world with value. Don't waste their time. That'd be the number one thing I do. Number 2 would be, your filter on property should always, number 1, be, how do I own this? How do I own this and cash flow it? How do I do something creative to control this asset and build a portfolio of wealth building rather than just a cash, injection today?
I love that.
Like the difference between me and most of these other guys is I own a lot of houses at this point, and I have cash flow that pays me every month. And there's other guys doing that and at a higher level than me, but like so many guys that are balling right now and they're stunting, right? They don't own anything other than their sick cars. They got probably 60 grand in the bank, and they're balling. But it's like, bro, what do you own? Like, where's your wealth? Where's your net worth? Where's your lasting, do you want to be wholesaling deals in 10 years from now? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
So if you're wholesaling, if you get to a point where you're wholesaling 3 to 5 deals a month, figure out how to own one of them, drop it in the portfolio.
100%. I love that. That if I could extract one thing out of that, I think the number one thing that I tell most people that are looking to get started in real estate and they're trying to figure out and connect all these dots, because that's what I was trying to do in the beginning too. I was sitting in seminars, reading books, listening to podcasts, all this kind of stuff. The one thing that was the true linchpin for getting started in real estate, building real wealth, generating real income, was just finding the deal. Finding a real opportunity. And if you can truly get good at just finding opportunities, you will truly get good at raising capital for them, structuring deals, finding contractors, figuring out who the team is, right? And getting all of those other puzzle pieces connected to create the picture and the outcome that you're looking for. But if there was just one thing to push everything off to the side and not worry about anything else, don't take up any mental real estate with anything else but lead generating for deals and understanding the economics behind a deal, right? Very important. That is the quickest way to making an income and building wealth.
If people just focus on just that, they found data, they skip traced the data, they knocked every pre-foreclosure, every house they drove by that was distressed, they made a commitment to themselves, they would knock on it, they would leave a note. If they just took massive action on just finding deals, they're going to go be more successful than anyone could ever imagine. But people try to think about they want to cook the whole dinner. And it's like, hey, for now, figure out how to cook the bird. Don't worry about the mashed potatoes and gravy and the greens and the corn and the sweet potatoes. Cook the bird right now. And the bird is the deal. Go find that. And then you can take it to somebody. They'll help you.
I love that. Simplify it. And in my opinion, and I know this is true because I've experienced it firsthand time and time again. I know you can echo this, and I know most successful people will, is nobody starts off with, a big bankroll or all kinds of tools and resources on their belt. It's always resourcefulness that trumps resources. And along the way, by being resourceful, you get good at picking up the resources that you can collect and start putting on your tool belt to become a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more armed and equipped to go out and do what you want to do, connect the dots, mind gets sharper, skills go up, right? Relationships start to fill in. And now all of a sudden, the board game that you sat down to and were completely confused on how to play, you now know what the strategy is behind it, and what your competitors are doing, and how do you win, and how do you pass go and collect money, and all of those things, right? So focusing on that one lead domino, I think, is the most important thing. That was a good one. All right. So Temp, as we kind of go to wrap this up, I know a lot of people are going to have questions for you. They're going to want to follow you. Where is the best place for them to follow you online, reach out to you, hear what you're up to, see all the cool stuff that you're doing?
Best place is going to be Instagram at Templeton, and like TEMPLET, the number 0 and Templeton. Whoever has Templeton out there stole my shit. So at Templeton, and then Templeton Walker on Facebook. And if you want to email me, offers@tgroupaz, my team will get it, and I'll do my best. But probably, I would say Instagram's the best place.
Slide into those DMs on my boy.
Dude, I appreciate you having me. I feel like we just this felt like one of our just normal coaching.
It was, what's funny is I didn't realize we're coming up on an hour, and
it feels like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was quick. So final question for you is, I know you're somebody who's always driven to just go and achieve and hunt and do what you want to do, but you're also finding this, this solace in being a dad and, being an amazing husband and, all of these things kind of like fusing together. And I'm curious, what is the big vision? What is the end game that you're pushing towards? Is it a net worth number? Is it a passive income number? Are you already there? What is keeping gas in the engine?
So I'm financially free. If you include my traditional business, things like that, and the assets I have, I can live pretty leanly and not have to work per se. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel completely sturdy to me by any means. I think if I had to put a number on it, if I started netting 25 a month passive, that's more than enough money for me to live exactly the way I want. And I would probably, and here's the other thing, it's about the journey, not the destination. So why not be living the way I want to live now? Just that number I don't have to be tied to that number. Yep. But, living on purpose with my family, living on purpose with my friends, with the people closest to me, and then with my philanthropy, and making a difference in the world, and not just always thinking about money, which I have done in the past. And it's a fleeting, it's not a very, it's a game you can't win. It's a game you can't win. So for me, if I made 25 a month passive, I'd probably just be chilling, trying to help people every day, post it on Facebook, who needs help moving today? Your boy's got time.
I love it, man. Well, I love you, bro. I love all the energy, all the positivity, all the value you bring to everybody. And you don't slight anybody. And that's one thing that I just want to acknowledge in you is you really do play full out for everybody, for everything. It shows up in how you parent, how you are towards Denise, how you are with your friends, how you are on social media. Like, what you see is what you get. And that is honestly one of the greatest qualities I think I would love others to pick up and latch onto as well, knowing that like when you can be transparent like that and that's what you get. I call my man Temp a Hall of Fame human being, and I love you, bro. So thank you for being on the show today. And you guys, if you enjoyed this one, be sure to tag Temp, reach out to him, shout out on social media, and we might have to have him back on just to actually talk about real estate next time.
I love you too, brother, man. Thank you again.